Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Unity. We always start with chanting or singing something to call in this universal energy, this love. And we just like to leave the world outside these doors and invite and invoke this beauty for this next hour. So we start with music to start that process. And you're welcome to join us, or you can just close your eyes and get in the presence.
Out to earth, the torch divine. We are the lights of the earth. The torch divine. We are the lights of the earth. Shine. Hold out to earth the torch divine. We are the lights of the earth. Shine.
Beautiful singing.
Morning, everyone. Another beautiful Boulder day out there. We should be so grateful for the weather that we get here in Boulder, Colorado. And if it keeps up, it's just going great. So I want to welcome all of you to Unity of Boulder, and just let you know right now that in the pews in front of you, you have these particular little flyers. And on one side, you can leave your name, email, etc. We'll put you on our mailing list. We'll keep you in touch with what Unity of Boulder is doing. On the back of this is a prayer request. If you have a particular person you'd like to have a prayer for, have people praying for, we have our prayer group that goes around the clock here. So you might want to fill that out. Anyway, take a look at it. It'll explain to you what it is that is required for you to make contact with Unity of Boulder. Is there anybody here from another Unity this morning? Raise your hand. Okay. Is there anybody here for the first time? We had what? Where? Raise your hand high. We have a gift for you. Okay, put your hand up high, please. I want to give you this gift. All right. Keep your hand up because they're coming down. It's a bag of marijuana. Sorry. Hey, here we are. All things are happening in that place and that reason and that condition because it's going to come forth and make the world a better place altogether. We're going to grow out of this pandemic, and we're going to grow into the joy and happiness of living free of fear altogether. You're going to love this talk given by Syntysche.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Unity of Boulder. My name is Mike Shadle. I'm the administrator here. If you ever have any questions, comments, concerns, or whatever, my office is right over here in the bookstore. Please come in, say hi, and have a chat with me. I always enjoy that. So I've got a few announcements here of upcoming events at Unity of Boulder. The biggest one is today at 5 p.m. We're having our children's Halloween party. It's free. All children are invited. We definitely encourage costumes. We have candy and games. And then we follow it all up with a haunted house that's built by our high school aged congregants, which are also known as our YOU, and that's downstairs. So please bring your children, bring your neighbors, bring your neighbors, kids, anyone you can bring. It's a great time. Come on up here, Andy. I'm going to invite Andy Lennox up here to the stage one more time. Tell us what's going on in the Uniteens.
Hey everybody. What's going on in the Uniteens is that I have managed to capture one of those elusive things called a Uniteen. And this is Tara. And Tara, tell everybody what we did last Sunday.
We went to Gateway Park and went go-karting and mini golf.
And we had a great time. And that's one of the things that we do. One of the other things that we're planning for Uniteens is service projects. And I'm actually working because service is an absolute surefire way to relieve stress, but also to just feed the heart. So what we really need to do is to promote this program. Our kids absolutely need it. And you can do that by telling everybody how great the youth programs are at Unity, from the little ones to the haunted house building teens, and then the Uniteens program, which is tough because these kids can't drive themselves. So we have to convince their parents of the value of our program as well. And there's one last thing you can do, and this works, and that's pray. Pray for our children, pray for our youth programs. It was touch and go whether we would hit the number that we were looking for last week. I wanted 15 people, and I prayed my butt off. And indeed, we hit 15. So in your meditations, just keep children, especially in your prayers, and let everybody know how great Unity is for supporting youth programs and what a benefit it is for our kids. Our kids absolutely need us now more than ever. So thank you. Bless you.
On Halloween, October 31st, this will be next Sunday, we are having our annual Samhain celebration led by Norma. And this is our celebration where we are celebrating the summer's end and we're welcoming in the fall, but it's also the time of year when the veil between this world and the next world is at its thinnest. So this is our ceremony where we also send messages off to those loved ones and friends and family members who have passed away. That's at 7 p.m. You don't have to sign up for it. It's a free event. It'll be right over here in Fellowship Hall next Sunday at 7. We are finally going to restart a Course in Miracles here at Unity of Boulder. We haven't had it in almost 2 years-ish, since before COVID, obviously. And this will be a year-long course starting Monday, November 1st, which will meet every Monday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. You do have to sign up for it. You do have to register. You can do that on our website, or you can do that in the bookstore. And this isn't just for first-time A Course in Miracles attendees. This is for people who've attended it more than a few times, or for the first time. So everyone can sign up for this one. So please let us know. And we really do want people to sign up beforehand instead of the day of, just so we can gauge how many people are going to be involved with it. You still can sign up the day of. It just helps us to know what's coming before it starts. And after the second class, we will not be signing people up for it anymore. After that, it is a closed group. And last but not least, we are having our duo Alethea Rising. That is Dinah and Sierra, who've been on our stage many times. They're going to have a concert here September 7th at 7:30. It's $12 a ticket. Their music is just beautiful and haunting, and I would definitely recommend getting a ticket for. They are wonderful to watch. And so now I'd like to invite Rebecca up here to our stage. She is our special music today. She is no stranger. She is definitely no stranger to our stage. She's spent the last 25 years writing music to uplift and inspire. Now she's a sound healer and a vibrational alignment coach as well. She's excited about her new online course, Vocal Toning for Manifesting, and for her new EP of original songs coming out later this fall. Rebecca Abraxas.
You're sitting there with your sad heart, thinking about how to make a start to be the change in your world, feeling like a hopeless girl. I know those feelings so well. Your voice matters. Your voice matters. I know today feels so hard, feeling small, oh you feel so tall. So many things you cannot change, but you can cast off those chains. There's something you can do. Your voice matters. Your voice. And no one could do it the way you can. Tell your story, sing your song. Your voice matters. Look in the mirror. What is your message to us? Break down the walls, build up your trust. Nothing stand in your way. When your heart has something to say, be you, change the world. Pick yourself up. Let's get out of the way. Let the world see you. Let the world hear what you have to say. Your voice matters. Your voice. No one could do it the way you can. Tell your story, sing your song. Your voice matters. Tell your story, sing your song. Your voice matters. Your voice matters. Your voice matters.
Thank you, Rebecca. Such a beautiful voice. Oh my gosh, so ethereal and lovely. Welcome, everyone. Nice to see you all here. So I'm doing a continuation talk from my talk last week. Last week's talk was called "This is the Sign You've Been Looking For," and this week's talk is "How to Attract Miracles Using the Law of Attraction." Last week, for those of you that were here, how many of you were here last week? Okay, so like half of you are here. I gave a 7-day challenge where you guys focused on one thing to see if you could make manifest a change in your life, or manifest money, or healing your relationship. So did anybody take on that challenge last week? Did anybody have any good results? Because you're supposed to email me, and I did. I got one text. Do you want to share what happened? No? You don't want to public speak first thing on Sunday morning? Me neither. I'm going to get off the stage too. Oh, yes. Okay, good. We have someone who wants to share.
Yeah, so I haven't seen my mum since she lives in Australia, and Australia was on complete lockdown, and I've been really wanting to just get home, and I found out this morning that as of November 1st, they're going to open up. And international travelers are going to be allowed, and I booked my ticket, and on the 10th of November, I fly home to Australia to see my mum.
Oh my God, that's wonderful. So for those of the people that are watching us online, this gentleman that's been going to our church forever said that his mom lives in Australia and he hasn't been able to see her for over 2 years because of COVID. And he put that intention out there, and then he just found out that the international travel just opened up to Australia and he gets to go see her in November. So we were talking about how do we, shift things that have been stuck for a very long time, and a lot of people made intentions, and even myself, and I had wonderful results this week. But we have to get down to when we don't have something shift, how do we really go deeper and shift these things that stay stuck for us, right? So when we look at prosperity, what is prosperity? Prosperity, as far as Unity, or Charles Fillmore says, is spiritual well-being. This involves the whole experience of healing life, satisfying love, and abiding peace and harmony, as well as the sufficiency of every good thing. So truly, it's just balance. It's wholeness in all areas of our lives. And in the book Heart-Centered Metaphysics by Paul Hasselbeck, it's one of my teachers in ministerial school, wrote this: prosperity is not in the possession of things, but in the recognition of supply and in the knowledge of free and open access to an inexhaustible storehouse of all that is good or desirable. So it's being open to this supply, this endless, it's inexhaustible supply that is open to all of us if we will open up to that. But many of us get stuck looking at things that are not going well. And we talk about those things, and we think about those things, and we even try to meditate, but they still sneak in there. And so what we're doing is we're attracting more and more of the things we're putting our attention on, instead of looking at that inexhaustible supply. Right? I like the idea that you're doing a workshop for toning for manifestation. Singing, they say to sing is to pray twice. You are thinning that veil. You feel it. When I sing with my mom and we hit certain harmonies, I will feel a sense like the body separates from the soul. The soul gets out of it. You just feel like you're flying, right? So that's a wonderful way to do something that will get you out of your mind chatter, to just put it into song. So that would be a wonderful way. You should talk to her about how you can get involved in that awesome class that she's going to be teaching. But if you want a miracle in your life, you have to be prepared to participate in its unfolding. We can't just sit back and want a miracle and have it just happen and fall in our lap. We have to be active participators in our life, right? Some people think we pray to this separate God, or we pray to this separate Father in the sky that's going to move things and change things, and that's just simply not what we believe in Unity. We are the activity of God's ideas through us. We are the open receptacle to that which moves in and through. This inexhaustible supply is right here in the very midst of you. If you can change the way you're thinking about your life, the way you're imagining in your life. The other day I went walking with my dog, and I was on the 4th day of a liver cleanse, which, if you've ever done one of those, they're not fun. Right now I have a rash all over my face to close it up, so that's awesome. And I do feel a lot better, but I was in that, when you haven't eaten, when you've fasted, it takes the gook out of your being, and your aura is very bright, and you do feel it's very, this sense of psychic abilities. You feel like you can remotely look in people's homes in other countries. You just have this, everything just falls away that's been in the burden and the limitation, and I felt like I was floating. And I was weak, too. I was on this walk because my dog hadn't been walked for a few days, and he was freaking out. So I just paced my walk to what I had to give to that walk. I usually am walking to exercise, but I walked with spirit. And I was walking around this dog park that's in Lyons that I'd highly recommend, because it's surrounded by all of the beautiful canyons all the way around, 360 degrees, and it's huge. It's like a mile around. And I'm looking at everybody that's walking this walk with their dogs playing, and everybody's walking with their heads down, watching the path, right? Watching the path, or watching their dogs, and their bodies were like this. And so I got my body straight, and I decided I was just going to look up in the horizon for my entire walk. I felt this distinct feeling of moving into my higher consciousness. Looking up and looking at the leaves and the colors of the leaves at the tops of all the trees and the mountains and the sky and the clouds. And I was just in this glorious, otherworldly experience. And I'm thinking, this is the first time I've walked this path and had this experience, and I do it probably 4 times a week. By lifting up my eyes and looking from the threshold, I was seeing my own life from a higher perspective, from a greater knowing that is in us. It's in all of us. When we get into that state of consciousness and we realize, I am God in action. I am purely the energy of those trees and those leaves and every dog and every person that I'm passing. And moving into that divine knowing that this inexhaustible supply is there to also change our minds about things that we believe are real and they are an illusion. One of the greatest ways to start bringing in miracles in your life is to be grateful for everything. Gratitude, right? Thank you. Thank you for this home. Thank you for this car that turns on. Thank you for my children's health. Thank you for this beautiful town that the whole country wants to live in, and we live here. Thank you for fall, like Jack was saying. We've had one of the most beautiful falls. The trees are just those leaves going down the road right now and driving, and it pulls up around the car. It's magical. Gratitude also for the things that are harder too. Have you ever been able to find gratitude for that job that you so wanted and you interviewed for and you didn't get it? Because when we live in this state of knowing that there's this inexhaustible supply, when we don't get that job, we know that's because there's something even better coming. But it's like living, it's changing the default from negativity to positivity and always looking on the horizon for the good that's coming from this. That's something we always teach in the Prosperity Secrets of the Ages class. If something's not working, you say, I can't wait to see the good that's going to come in this. I can't wait to see the good that's going to come from this. So you change, instead of going, ugh, did anything ever work for me? Everything I'm ever attached to just seems to fall away. Well, guess what? You're going to keep attracting more of those things falling away because you're putting your energy on it instead of going, oh, okay, that fell away. Sweet. Something awesome is coming. Or can you say thank you and have gratitude for your parents and knowing that at some point they're going to transition and they may get ill and you may even lose your parents. And even through that process, can we be in gratitude? That things change is part of life. Death is part of life. Difficult things are part of life. But we can also have gratitude for whatever time we had with certain people. That's a hard one, but that's an important one too. You will face your greatest opposition when you are closest to your biggest miracle. You will face your biggest opposition when you are closest to your biggest miracle. And the Native Americans refer to that as the trickster. It's something that's coming because you're in fluidity, you're moving towards something, you're in that furtherment, you're ongoing, you're going towards something wonderful that's going to break open. And then there's the test. Are you really going to live this in the midst of this adversity? Are you going to live from a place where you're speaking beauty and truth into this universe, even though this obstacle has hit you? Because that obstacle is that last piece that's growing you into that higher consciousness. And having faith that something great is coming from this obstacle. And you'll move through it a lot quicker because you're choosing your higher consciousness in your life instead of the lower, little, mousy soul person that, gripes about everything. You're deciding to be like, I'm going to be a master. I am going to be the master that Jesus promised we all are. He was not a separate son of God. He was a way shower of what we are. And it's a powerful thing. So can we be grateful when difficult things show up? What's going to happen? So the more gratitude you feel and express, the more things you find to be grateful for. The more you will receive to be grateful for. When you live in a state of gratitude, people and opportunities and blessings miraculously show up in your life. But having to say thank you for difficult things, I really had to sit with this week. So this last summer, or this last year, many of you, if you're watching my sermons since last January, know I lost one of my closest girlfriends this year to cancer, just to start off the year. And then I lost Dennis Drake, who was a very close mentor of mine, and I lost this lawyer that saw me through the most difficult stuff that I've been through with stuff in my life. I lost my surrogate mother, Gail Wagner. It just seemed like people were just going. And nobody was COVID, which is bizarre, right? And my sermons were sharing that. I couldn't get myself to the majesty. That circumstantial grief, that grief put me into a circumstantial depression. It wasn't a clinical depression, but I was super depressed. And I was meditating, and I was trying to get my act together, but I hurt. My heart was broken. And I certainly was not in a state of gratitude for the loss of all of these people that I lean on having in this world with me. And then this friend of mine, Felicia, who is a spiritual healer, and she does like cord cutting and stuff where you cut people from your energy fields, and I've gone through to her through the years. She called me and she said, I want to take you to lunch. And I said, okay. And we went to lunch in June. And we were sitting at this restaurant, and she's listening to me, and I'm sharing my grief. I was also in a major court situation with someone, and I didn't have my lawyer because he was dying at the time. It was just like all these people you depend on to support you, and I'm crying, and I'm with her. And she looks across at me, and she's got this long, like, curly, beautiful, like, gray hair. She's a wisdom keeper. She's beautiful. She looks straight in my eyes. And she said, Syntysche, you do realize that you are the Christ, right? And it hit like this wave of, it was like a pseudo soul punch to the gut. It rang so true, I already knew it, but I needed that spiritual shock treatment to adjust my thinking, my feeling, my wallowing, to start pulling my soul bootstraps up, to start walking towards my good, realizing there is still good to be had. And I find that we have those people that have to mirror to us. You do realize you're the Christ. What does that mean? That you are the Christ. You have the capacity to overcome anything or withstand anything that is given to you, because every single thing grows us. It cracks us open. It breaks us open into the greater mastery. We know ourselves on a deeper level. I know myself so much better now, after all that loss, than I did before. That's something to be grateful for. And you can look at the time you had with every single one of those people that blessed your lives. And as this veil gets thinned here, right, we just have to learn our new way to communicate with them. It's just a different communication. They're still with us. They've just got rid of the coat. And when you really get that and you witness things that show you that that's true, you don't have to have the same horrible grief that we get when we lose these people that we love so much. So I'm bringing that up just to remind you that if something didn't happen in 7 days, don't kick yourself about it. Don't get mad at yourself about it. Okay, so let's take on this ability and do it again. Today, again, you can plant the seed of the thing that you wanted to plant. Last week, we were talking about divine mind. We're talking about the Holy Trinity as far as unity explains it. Divine mind is this open receptacle to this inexhaustible supply, that we plant the seeds that come to us in meditation of what we want to create, what we want to unfold into this world, what we want to basket, what we want to experience. And then we meditate as that seed is planted and it starts growing. And we put feet underneath it. We change the trajectory of things that we do, like go to different coffee shops, go, do it different. Don't eat at the same restaurant every single week or the different, change it up. Go to a different town, go to a different mall, and you'll find that you're opening yourself up to more opportunities as you change up our stagnant, forward-walking way of being, right? We're very just patterned people. Well, that pattern is keeping us stuck to keep recreating what we keep recreating that we're not liking. So we go for drives, and we get into the mountains, and we get into nature, and when you're really feeling lost, you take your shoes off, and you walk on that ground that Mother Earth gave us. And you let that vibration start to change your everything, and get into a state of gratitude. What I already have, and what I'm so grateful for, what you're doing is you're opening yourself up to the areas that aren't going well to bring gratitude, and therefore you manifest. Manifest out of the universe. Last week, I shared a story from the Undefended Self, where this woman was writing about her frustration that she couldn't get something to change in her life. And she was sitting in a church listening to a sermon, and all of a sudden, she heard a voice start talking, and she took a piece of paper out, and she wrote this. This is what came to her when she was trying to change this thing that seemed stuck. We see that it is God's theater in which we are writing and producing the play of our particular lives. It is God's house that is being inhabited by our many different levels of consciousness. The radio, which contains our diverse and even contradictory inner channels, is ultimately God's instrument, not ours. The job of the individualized self is to assent to the positive, creative movement of the divine life force moving through us as through all things wherever it leads. And she also penned this. What you are called to do now is to be me. You are to embody the love force as it flows through you, just as it was my job to do that. Many will now be called to this task. This is the true meaning of the second coming of Christ. As more people awaken to their inner grounding in love and come to know love as their true identity, the manifestation of love will spread throughout the world. The manifestation of love will expand throughout the world. And so that gives us the opportunity to stop looking at the world and being so worried. Because in order to heal this world, we have to heal ourselves. We have to look at this force of love and how we're bringing it about in our marriages, in our relationships with our parents, with our friends, with our community, with every interaction that you have, that you are in divine love. And when you're in divine love, you attract divine love back, right? In Spiritual Economics, written by Eric Butterworth, which is one of the most iconic Unity ministers, his church met in New York City. What was the building that it was in, Dad? Lincoln Center. You know where Lincoln Center is in New York? That was a packed Unity church in that huge theater where operas and everything else takes place. And he writes, faith is expectancy. You do not receive what you want. You do not receive what you pray for. Not even what you say you have faith in. You will always receive what you actually expect. Oh, wow. Uh-oh. Right? Like, oh no. That means we have to lift up our consciousness. Got to go a little higher. Got to climb a little higher on that ladder. Got to get higher. What do you expect? What do you expect? So, this week I witnessed something that was very, very interesting. And I do believe in souls leaving bodies and reincarnating, all of that stuff. It's just been really shown to me in my life. That's a super part of what I came in this lifetime, is a real connection to both sides and educating myself of what's happened in past lives that have come to this life and what I want to bring to the next. So I was at lunch with a friend the other day who lost her dog a couple months ago. And she does not have any children. She's my age, and this was a daughter. This was not a dog. You know, you've seen people that have a dog. I mean, it's like a, what do they call that when we really lean on our dogs? It's like a surrogate. Yeah, like it's really like a child. So this is like you've lost a child. And the dog lived till 17 and a half because she took the best care, and this had the softest hair. I mean, it was unbelievable how she took care of this animal. And she's sitting with me at this restaurant, and she's weeping, and she's crying, and she's saying to me, and she's a very spiritual person and is a sound healer also. Everybody in this church is a healer. Everybody. The capacity and the energy that sits in this room is so powerful, it's amazing. And she's from here. And she said, I'm having some signs, and I'll have like a bird land, and I'll look up at the bird, and I'll find out what that bird means, and I'm getting these little messages, but I don't feel her like I thought I would feel her. You know, I haven't had any dreams. I haven't like had anything like really tangible happen, and I just really want that to happen. And so we were really making an intention together that Amber would come through and visit her and be there, show her that she's okay and she's still there, and when she's ready to get a new puppy, that Amber will jump into that little soul of that baby and she can have her again, right? That gives us hope when we've lost something that is as dear as a dog or a cat. Who loves animals? I mean, it is a love affair, let's be honest. I've got my dog Gillian. Oh my God, I'm obsessed. He's a smoochy boy and I love him so much. I love my kids and my husband, but he's just so good and so cute. So we leave the lunch. When we come back to the office, we come back to here, and she just directly goes to her car, and I came into the church. And I needed to load up my stuff and go get my kids from school. And Gilly was in the office. Okay, so Gilly doesn't know her, really, and he's met Amber once, the dog, but there's not really a relationship with her. And I left to go to my car, which my car's always parked over here, and I went to go load my stuff up into the car. And Gilly bolted, and he never bolts. I never have him on a leash. He heels. He's a really trained, amazing dog. Bolts straight for Folsom, and I think he's going to get killed by a car. And I'm screaming. But he bolted right to her car. He doesn't know her, and he hasn't even heard this conversation that we've had, and he starts jumping on her door, jumping on the door. And she opens the door, and the dog just jumps and is just loving and loving and loving and loving, and I'm trying to get him out, and he won't come to me. He doesn't want to be with me because it's not him. We had a walk-in, and we both witnessed it. Because we were doing a prayerful intention together, and I was putting my energy with hers that's not in such a deep grief, and when we're in deep grief, it's hard to manifest stuff. I was in a place of love, like, give her this miracle, give her this miracle. My dog is loving, and I'm watching this, and then I'm trying to get him, and he goes shoving himself down where the pedals are, and is like, don't get me, like, don't, like, it's not my dog. And it kind of broke my heart, because it's my dog. And I finally have to grab him, and she's super emotional and really like touched by this moment. And I had to grab him, and I'm carrying him in my car, and he's howling, wanting to go back to the car. That night, my dog was not right, and it was actually kind of scary, and he wasn't acting like himself at all. And I talked to a friend, she said, you got to sage him, and you got to tell him that his soul is the only soul allowed in the body. And he's slowly coming back, but he's not 100% back. So if you guys could make an intention that Gilly's body and his soul are together. But what a witness. What a witness, right? This is when you expect miracles. When you live in a state where you expect that God will show you that this inexhaustible supply is always available in so many cool ways. I witnessed God. I witnessed that we as souls, this is just, that validated my friend being gone. That validated all sorts of things. And that validated something for my friend, my girlfriend that is going through this grief. Wow, she really could just jump into a puppy body and be my girl again. Because I've had a dog, my Salaka dog, reincarnated into my cozy dog that I lost this summer. I also lost a dog this year. What a year, I tell you. So I witnessed that miracle. And in the Bible it says, "Truly I say to you, whoever says to this mountain, 'Be taken up and cast into the sea,' and does not doubt in his or her heart, but believes that what he or she says is going to happen, it shall be granted you. Therefore I say to you, all things for which you pray and ask, believe it. Believe that you will receive it, and it will be granted to you." But again, you have to believe it. And what are you expecting? It was weird to hear what you're expecting because we haven't really thought about that before. Well, if I see it and I vision it and I walk with an affirmation, I mean, we got all sorts of robotic things we can do to try to manifest, but what if you're still expecting that it's just going to be crappy? That's what you're going to get. So we really have to take to task what we're harboring, what we're holding in our mind's eye, what we're believing. You know, some of this really comes down to self-worth. Some of our insecurities are keeping us living from the most bountiful, beautiful life. Because somewhere, somebody made us feel like we were less than. Somebody cut us and made us feel and believe that we aren't worthy. And that is the first thing you have to tackle on the spiritual path. None of this claims true or works in your life if you have a low sense of self. Looking at your age, looking at your body, looking at your weight, always everything is measured to when I achieve this, then I will love myself and give myself the life I deserve. That day's never coming. That day is today. That extra fluffy 10 pounds, you're like, yeah, check that out. It's not too bad. I can still get these jeans on a little bit. Laugh about it. It's been COVID, man. We were bored. We had to eat food. The cookies are 10. If you don't love yourself, you're not going to attract incredible things into your life. And so all these things that you're desiring are fleeting. They can't come into your being until you realize that you are the vessel of God. You are the Christ, Syntysche. You are the Christ. You are the Christ. So if you are the Christ potential through you, what does that mean? Can you take that in right now? Any obstacle that's in your way, there is a miracle that can move through your life right now and create something awesome. If you love yourself enough to let it. But we got to stop using "I don't know what to do" as an excuse. That lack of not knowing what to do. You got to change things up. You have to do something different. You have to change up the pattern. Moving your energy, crossing the brain, making it see different things. Positive action nets positive rewards. The more positive action you take, the more you are rewarded. I tell you, it's a miraculous producing move you want to take now, which is positive action. And even a positive action can be saying, I'm going to meditate every day. That was something that I did get a text. It was super funny because I gave you guys this intention that in 7 days you're going to manifest something. And the only text I got was talking about what she got from my dad's sermon at the first service. I was like, did you say that everybody should meditate 3 times a day last week?
I did too much drinking this week to remember.
And she said that whenever she was getting a nagging feeling and feeling those agitations she feels towards annoying people, she sat down and meditated and it took it away. So I thought, okay, that's a form of abundance, not being gripey in your own mind. So this is an important thing right here. Do you find it conceivable that Jesus began to experiment with the creative power of faith? He also may at times have been challenged even beyond his capacity to believe. Would it shock you to consider the possibility that something within him, the last vestiges of human consciousness, might have said, "You can't heal the blind man or provide a meal for this great throng of people"? You wouldn't know how. If you have been conditioned with the idea that Jesus was very God, it may be hard for you to believe that early in life, Jesus had the same basic difficulties of growing up as you had. Remember, Paul said that he was tempted in all ways, such as we are. In other words, he achieved mastery by personal development and practice. Practice, practice. He said, in effect, I have overcome the world, the flesh, and the devil. Metaphysically, there's a metaphysical Bible dictionary that was written by Charles Fillmore, and every word that's in the Bible is broken down into its actual meaning. And the devil is a state of consciousness adverse to divine good. Other names for this state of consciousness are the adversary, carnal mind, the accuser, and the old man. There is no personal devil. God is the one omnipresent principle of the universe, and there is no room for any principle of evil, personified or otherwise. So it's important that all of these words, we can break them down and realize it's just a state of consciousness that we look at words like that. So the old man, the old ideas, the old attitudes, the old possessions, the old things that keep us from doing something new. The old man is the old stagnant repressor, obstacle, stagnation, where we just keep trying to do the same thing and want a different result. What does that actually mean when we keep doing the same thing and want a different result? Insanity. But how many of us do it? Because that's our wheelhouse, that's our toolbox, that's the one we go into. We're like, you know what, let me just try this again. See if I get a new result. Oh my God, it's funny. And it's really sad. So I'll give a brief example about old consciousness. I'm sure you remember the story of the Pharisees scheming to destroy Jesus because he had transgressed the laws of God as they saw them. He had violated the Sabbath. He had associated with disreputable people. He had failed to command his disciples to fast. He also had the audacity to forgive sins. Now, these learned and very respected Pharisees were pious men devoted to God. In fact, they were sought after by their contemporaries for their sound religious dogma advice. This is what I mean when I speak of old consciousnness. The Pharisees were thinking in old. It's that rituals, and you have to do this, and you have to kneel at this point, and then you have to pray, and you got to do it this whole way, and it's based on BS. Whereas Jesus is saying you are free flowing. You have the right to create anything you can put your mind to. What is that divine idea? But some people think, well, I got to go to church on Sunday. I got to do this. They have these rituals that if I do all this, then God will give me favor. God will give me favor. God is always giving you favor. All the time. Every minute of every day of every second. But you and your limited old thinking still believes that there's something wrong with you, so you do not claim it. And so they were annoyed because, I think about this sometimes. The Pharisees are annoyed because he's enjoying his life. He's able to work all these miracles and he doesn't have to go to church 50 times a week. Right? He has a free spirit. He's showing the people that we can do these wonderful things. And do you know why he had that ability and why he understood? Where did he learn that he had these abilities for healing the lame, bringing sight to the eyes of people that have been blind? The Essenes. He was raised by Essenes, and if you look at what Essenes are in the culture, it was like a commune of people that lived in it. It's exactly unity. It's exactly science of mind. It's exactly agape in LA. It's the exact message that's truly transformative because you can change your life and you can utilize it. And this is it. The Essenes consider themselves to be a separate people, not because of external signs like skin color, hair color, etc., but because of the illumination of their inner life and their knowledge of the hidden mysteries of nature unknown to other people. They considered themselves to be also a group of people at the center of all peoples, because everyone could become part of it as soon as they had successfully passed the selective tests, meditation, affirmations, grown intuition, psychic abilities, remote viewing, and it goes on and on. They thought, and rightly so, that they were the heirs of God's sons and daughters of old, the heirs to their great ancient civilization. They possessed their advanced knowledge and worked assiduously in secret for the triumph of the light over the darkness of the human mind. And you know that Mary, his mother, was raised as an Essene. So who is the really special one here? Mary raised her child to understand what innately lived in his powerful being. Just as we have that ability to teach our children that they have this innate potential. You don't have to wander in this life, guys. We can actually tap into this inexhaustible supply. The second we realize that we're worthy and that we expect the greatest and the holiest for ourselves and others. But eventually you just got to get tired enough of the old habits, the old things that are cutting you off from this divine experience. Over drinking, over drugging, over distracting with TV, over listening to dark music or video games or computers. Get off your phones, you know what I mean? Like, letting there be time where you're not doing anything and learning to love that. But we're just so conditioned to just keep ourselves distracted because why? Because we think life is actually really hard. And so we're trying to avoid it. But when you get this into your consciousness, that when you develop these psychic abilities, when you develop in this meditation, when you start to remotely know that you're energetically connected to your mom for those 2 years, whether she's in Australia or not, that your heart is right here, you're connected, then you won't feel so alone and so abandoned through this process. And you'll call in that partner that you so desire. You'll call in that spiritual tribe like I have, like Felicia coming to me and saying, I need to take you to lunch because I need to remind you about something. I've seen you've gone down the toilet with all this grief, and I get it, and I'm sorry. But now I need to remind you, you are the Christ. You are the Christ potential. And so maybe you need to figure out what that means to you. I'm running a little over. Do you guys want to go into meditation, or do you want me just to go to the offering? Okay. All right, great. So let's just close our eyes, and if you can, put your feet flat, have your legs crossed so you're grounded, and those pews aren't the best for meditating, so if you could sit up and not use it as a support on your back, then we put ourselves in this divine alignment. And so let's just take 3 deep breaths in and exhales, and we're going to exhale with a so let's do the first one. And I want you to see the crown of your your head opening up for divine source to be speaking and bringing in these divine ideas as you are sitting here, your eyes closed. I want you to bring to mind some place where you are withholding something within yourself. Something that you are keeping tight so to not let anyone know. What if you could relieve yourself of this today and give it away as a gift to yourself? The universe is standing by, waiting and ready to take it from you. Free yourself by telling yourself the truth. And let the feelings of that truth be witnessed by you in this moment. That's any emotion. If it's sad, if it's mad, maybe it's an unwillingness to change. Maybe your identification with this issue has made it a part of your actual identity. And you've used this issue to either keep people out of your life or to get pity for your victimhood. Maybe it's guilt or anger. Maybe it's grief about the state of your life right now, and maybe the state of the world. You see, though, if you keep remarking on what's missing in your life, you are drawing more of that to you. It's okay to take this moment and identify these areas of your life and witness for yourself and ask yourself, when I focus on these deep-seated issues within myself, am I drawing miracles in my life? Now I want you to ask yourself, am I ready for a miracle? And now go through the list with yourself of what those miracles are. And you will find yourself no longer saying, I don't know what I need to do. Because you now know what you are ready to attract into your life. And the doer is God through you. That consciousness will come through dreams. That consciousness will come from friendships and things they say. That consciousness may come through your children's mouths. Watch everything that's happening around you, because the universe is constantly interacting with you and trying to show you the way. But if you keep yourself distracted with phones and computers and TV, and you don't give yourself at least an hour a day with nothing taking your attention, you can't manifest these miracles that you so yearn and desire and you actually completely deserve. You see, you are a part of the living whole. You don't have to justify why or how you got here. Your path is to observe and learn more completely this indwelling spirit of love that is unfolding every moment of every day. There is no stuck. There is only moving forward with the expectation and knowing that all is right in the universe. So today, I ask you, grab hold of this and let it move and guide you to the ever-loving well of goodness that is at your very fingertips, in the very midst of you. Heaven is in the very midst of you, here and now. It's not a distant place, it's today. Heaven is in the midst of you. And you are the Christ. I am the Christ. I am the Christ. So nothing can hurt me, make me sick, or make me afraid, because I am a perfect child of God. And that perfect child of God, as the way-shower, was Christ. And we are that. So I'm going to ask you to come back in to this room and just bring this message into your week. And let's try that intention that you put out to do last week and see if I could get an email from you guys. Okay. I love you guys. Thank you. We'll take an offering community now.
Talk, I had a thought that a couple of thousand years ago when Jesus was preaching, teaching, and healing, people were not as intellectually involved. You know, since the Renaissance, we've shifted over to the left brain so totally, supposing that somehow or other we can intellectually solve those pressing problems in life. But really, back then, people could be healed because they immediately accepted the truths that were being shared here this morning. They accepted them. And so they freed themselves of whatever limitations came upon them. And but what we were experiencing this morning was that dynamic truth. And so where can you go to get something like that except in a place like this? There's not that many of them, you know. We have teachers and really inspired teachers, but certainly they're all sharing the same dynamic truth of our innate ability to heal. And so we should be extremely grateful to have this. And with that in mind, let's take into our hands that gift we'd like to make to Unity of Boulder. And those of you that are watching this live streaming, you have these particular ways you can make a donation to Unity of Boulder. And so let's all bring to mind that financial gift we'd like to make. And let's bless that gift with this prayer. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, because I give. And so it is. Oh, yes. Rebecca Braxis is going to share that incredible music with us once again. Rebecca, nobody sings as brilliantly as you. And I'll tell you another thing. Nobody will ever sing your songs as brilliantly as you do. It's total spirit coming through you.
Thank you.
We are so blessed to have you here.
A lot's going down today. Keep loving, keep giving. This may take some forgiving. Don't let them take your power away. No, we can change the world with just one love and thought. We can light each other's way with the love we've got. We've just got to stand up, stand tall. We've just got to rise up and hear the call. We can change the world. When it all seems lost, keep loving, keep giving, keep getting up when you're down. Do the right thing when no one's around. Ooh, we can change the world with just one love and thought. We can light each other's way with the love we've got. We've just got to stand up, stand tall. We've just got to rise up and hear the call. We can change the world. When that day comes for my soul to be freed, I wanna know that I put love and peace into destiny. We can change the world with just one love and thought. We can light each other's way with the love we've got. We've just got to stand up, stand tall. We've just got to rise up and hear the call. We can change the world, just one love and thought. We can light each other's way with the love we've got. We've just got to stand up, stand tall. We've just got to rise up and hear the call. We can change the world.
So I had a slide last week that had my email on it, but if you want to write it down, I'm going to expect, I'm putting this out there, I'm planting a seed, so I'm going to get an email. I did actually just talk to Sylvia Ronstadt. She's like, I sent you an email yesterday and you didn't read it, just when I walked into the office. And I guess I didn't read it, so I'm sorry, I'll share it next week. So my email is Syntysche, it's SYNTYSCHE at unityofboulder.com. All right, so we have prayer partners available to you if you're facing a challenge. These beautiful people with sashes on the front row, if you guys would stand up. Steve, Sandy, and Aaron. And Aaron's on our board of directors. And they all are incredible. So make sure if you could even share joy, or you could have them actually sit and decree with you something you want to create for yourselves. You know, praying in groups magnifies a wonderful manifestation. All right, so let's all rise and close with our closing music. You were amazing. I love that song. You know, she performed that last Easter. Was it Easter? If you look up the Easter performance from this last year, it was incredible. Amazing soloist throughout the whole thing, but that was like the highlight. It was amazing. She just came out and just like rocked people's worlds. All right, let's close. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith, I breathe our life. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. you expect? Take that with you today. Miracles.